Hi everybody. If you're confused by the words Lunasa, Lughnasadh, Lammas, not quite sure what they are and what the difference is, then this video might be of interest to you. We're going to dig into the history, we're going to dig into the different names and why, and we're going to look at rituals and practices that you can do quite simply to observe this time of year for yourself. So stay tuned. So as a pagan and a self-identified witch, I've been exploring my ancestry and also my cultural heritage for quite some time now. Now I have a strong Irish ancestry, and so I'm deepening my magical practice in Irish law, Irish paganism, Irish witchcraft and Druidism. Now I wasn't born in Ireland, I was born in Liverpool, which is in England, with two sets of great grandparents that were born in Ireland. They were born in Dublin. Now I feel the culture really strong in my blood, in my bones and in my psyche, and I'm really enjoying learning more about the history, the heritage, the practices that influenced my grandparents, particularly my dad's mum, who still practiced some of the old ways. I used to sit with her for hours and hours and listen to her talk. I'd watch her potter about her room, making tea and meals, and I really wish then that I knew I knew then what I know now and asked more questions. But unfortunately, our relationship is now just vibrational, with the occasional connection and communication from memories coming in about the time that I spent with her. Now, for those that know me, they'll know that, I can communicate with a spirit in a haunted house really well, but I struggle to make strong connections with my own family members and loved ones who've made their transitions. So, work in progress on that one. So back to the festival, August 1st, Lunasa, Lunasa, Lammas. What is it? Well, it really depends on your practice. So it can either be, it can be any of those. So Lunasa or Lughnasa, well, they're both traditional Irish names for this festival, which marks the time of the beginning of harvesting. So both are correct and they can be used. Now, it's been an important time in the year that's been celebrated since prehistoric times. It can be traced back. Now, Lammas is a later name change which emerged when Christianity really came to the shores. So the name is thought to translate from Anglo Saxon as loafmass. And this is where the traditional loaf was made from the first grain of the harvest around this time, and it was taken to the church to be consecrated on the altar. So if you follow the Wiccan faith, then you're more likely to call this time of year Lammas than Lunasa. So you might guess that I'll be referring to this festival at Lunasa or Lughnasadh. I use the two interchangeably. And I'm going to be sharing the myth, the history and its origins. And I'm also going to be sharing with you some simple ways to mark this time of the year. So whatever you choose to call it, these are some things that are equally shared. So Lunasa is actually the Irish name for August, and Lughnasadh comes from Old Gaelic, and it translates to the commemoration of Lugh. And it's with this character that we get the legend and the origins of the festival. So it's cross-quarter day, and it's now observed on August 1st each year. Now, Lugh was, as legend has it, he was a god and High King of Ireland. He was a fierce warrior, and he was a leader of the Tuatha De Danann. Now, legend has it that Lugh's foster mother, Talchu, died on August 1st from exhaustion because she'd been clearing the plains of Ireland to get it ready for farming and agriculture. Now, she was buried under a mound in that area known in an area known today as Telltown in County Meath, and ancient earthworks remain in that area today. So mounds, ditches and enclosures can be seen in the landscape. So legend has it, to honour his mother, Lugh held the first Enach, which is the bringing of people together to commemorate a death. Now, this gathering occurred in the last fortnight of July, the last 2 weeks of July, and the first 2 weeks of August, and it lasted for the full four weeks. And it brought together all of the Irish kings to the landscape of governance in Meath, and under a truce, they'd settle disputes between each other. So after that, more areas of Ireland followed suit, and they developed into the festival of Lughnasadh, which traditionally is celebrated on August 1st on hilltops and mountains and on riverbanks all over Ireland. And festivities included feasts with the newly harvested crops, the making of bread, entertainment with music and dance, matchmaking, trading, competitive sporting games with displays of wrestling and spear throwing, running, long jumping and high jumping, and of course horse racing. There were also contests of storytelling and goldsmithery. Now, marriages would take place with couples really only contracting for a year as a trial period, and this could be annulled at the same time the following year. Things didn't work out between the two of them, and in some areas a flaming wheel was sent rolling down the hillside and into a body of water to symbolize the descent of the year towards winter. And in the Druid ceremony, a wheel is passed around the circle as a symbol of the turning of the year. Now, if you look at Lughnasadh on the wheel of the year, well, you'll see that it is exactly opposite to Imbolc. Now, Imbolc is dedicated to the goddess Brigid and ostensibly is feminine in nature. Lughnasadh is dedicated to Lugh, and so it's seen as a masculine festival. So to this day, festivals still take place in August, and these festivals have their origins and roots in Lunasa. As mentioned before, the alternative name is Lammas, but whatever origins you choose to focus on, whatever you choose to call it, there are aspects of this time that are common across the board. So it's the first harvest, and it's surrounded in harvest superstition. So grain was such an important part of being able to feed the village, prevent starvation. It was a bad idea to harvest the wheat any time before August 1st, because what this meant, what this signified, was that the previous year's harvest had run out, and it had run out early. And that was a really serious failing in the agricultural communities. However, on August 1st, the first sheaves of wheat were cut by the farmer, and by nightfall, his wife had made the first loaves of bread of the season. Much celebration would be had with feasting on the first food of the season, the fruits of the harvest. There'd be dancing and there'd be merrymaking. Now, it's sometimes easy for us to forget how hard our ancestors had to work in order to sustain life. They toiled in the fields and in the orchards. They tended to the crops. They worked really hard. Their relationship with the land was literally life-giving. And, it's a good time to reflect how easy it is for most of us. Because when we run out of food, we can nip to the shop and we can buy something more. Even if money is scarce, we have ready access to some sustaining food. So pausing to observe this time of the year is a nod and an acknowledgement to all of our ancestors. Without their hard work, they wouldn't have survived, and literally we wouldn't have been here today. So if we look at what harvest time means, we can see that this is a time of year that really invites us to harvest the fruits of our labour. So whether we're actually harvesting from our gardens or from our land, we're also reflecting on our hard work and our personal achievements and accomplishments. So metaphorically, our mental, spiritual and emotional crops are ready for the first harvest. So if you created goals or you set intentions in the winter or in early spring, this is a great time to see how they've manifested and how they'll support you in the months to come as well. Now, harvest isn't just a time to reap what we've sowed, it's a time to plan for what you wish to sow later. So my inner work is therefore focused not just about what I've achieved, but also, half-finished plans, half-finished projects that I might want to refocus on, or indeed some new thoughts and ideas for the future. Preparation for sowing is just as important as the sowing of the seeds themselves. So it's also a time to let go of what no longer serves us as well. And I like to do this in self-reflection. It's a simple ritual that I do on August 1st, once the sunlight has left us. And then I can get on with the celebration of this time of the year. So enjoying the sun, taking some time off work, spending it with family and friends, having picnics and enjoying myself. It's a time to give thanks to the many bounties we have in our life. Now, if you have an altar that you like to decorate for the season, you'll want to include maybe some grains, some fruits and some berries, some late summer flowers, maybe, even a corn dolly. And here is a little peek at my altar. So I promised you a peek at my my altar, my Lughnasa altar. It's a working altar, so this is where I do all of my magical work, my focus. So it's got lots of my tools and equipment on there, but I do have some decoration for Lunasa. So here's some lovely sunflowers, which are a reminder of the season. I also have a nice corn husk there. These are the apples that I will be eating after my ritual. So they're here to represent the harvest, but they're also here to charge for that very purpose. Moving over, well, Buddha isn't really part of it, but he's just happy to be there. I always have candles. I use a lot of candles in ritual. I work with the fire element a lot, so always have candles. But I've got a nice little pumpkin-y thing there, which again talks about the seasons. And I want to talk about corn dollies. So I've got my lovely corn dolly here, who was gifted to me by a wonderful friend, and the myth and the mythology around corn dollies are just adorable. So and it kind of transcends many indigenous cultures as well. As I'm talking, I'll just give you a little peek at my whole altar there. But yes, so the spirit of the corn, the diva, the elemental energy of the corn lives in the fields as the corn's growing. It's, the diva's nurturing the corn and helping to support growth. And then, of course, on harvest, there's nowhere for the corn diva to live. And so in folklore and in old practice, a corn dolly was made to house the corn diva, to make a safe place for her to live, to bring her inside, to allow her to winter in a safe, comfortable, warm space. And so she stays on my altar until the spring, when planting will happen. And so she is the vessel for the corn diva to live her winter in. And old England and the old parts of the traditional ways in all of the British Isles will have a different version of the corn dolly, which I will pop a little picture on. Very different than the type of corn dolly you see here. She's a clear representation of a person, but the old corn dollies look a little bit different than that, and are just made by weaving sheaves of corn. The last kind of stalks of the corn would have been traditionally used to make these corn dollies. So there you have it. It's very simple. It's just got some nice representations of the season. Now, traditionally at this time, tree boughs and garlands of summer flowers were used for decoration, but also they were used to decorate the holy wells and the springs. So you may wish to honour your local river, your stream or your spring during this time as well. Now, you may not wish to leave flowers there, but you can visit a local water source and sit in appreciation for the water source itself. Now, whether you're a baker or not, you might want to try your hand at making some fruit pies or even a loaf of bread. Now, I'm not a baker nor a cook, but I like to try my hand and make a loaf or two around this time. You can also go out into the landscape and connect or reconnect with Mother Earth. It's a lovely thing to do during this time. You know, you get to thank her for the harvest and for how she sustains us. You can sit on a grassy knoll in the summer sun, you know, maybe lie down, feel her heartbeat and sit in appreciation. You can also visit a farmer's market, support your local growers and your farmers, and also reconnect with the origins of the food that we pick in our supermarkets. Now, I take the time on August 1st to do some inner work, as I said before. So I get to reflect and meditate. Now, you don't have to create an elaborate ritual for this if you don't want to. It really is a matter of preference. I like to undertake my rituals solo, but you can also do this as a group, and you'll see it's not a fancy ritual. So I start by casting a circle. Again, this is just a simple defining and boundary drawing in my reflection space. So I use my wand, or I'll use my fingers to cast and to walk the boundary, and I walk sunwise. I light a candle in the center of the circle, and I acknowledge the directions and the elements, asking them to be present. So then I focus on my breath and I center my energy. I set my intention by saying, this is a sacred time. This is a sacred space, and I'm fully present here and now. Now, these words came from my Druid Bard training, and I just love how I feel when I use them and I speak these out loud. So then I take some time to reflect on my life. So what is ripe and ready to harvest? What is ripening and maybe needs a little bit more nurturing further? What are the many blessings in my life? These are the things that I like to bring forwards in meditation. And as this is a festival of Lugh, I also like to invite him to connect with me in meditation. Now, sometimes I see him in my mind's eye like, you know, a human being, like a young man, but sometimes he comes to me in an animal form, usually a stag. And I ask him to share his wisdom with me. I stay open to how he speaks to me, so words, feelings or images might come, so stay open to it all. You know, you can also, or instead, connect with the goddess Talchu. So she, if you remember, is Lugh's foster mother, and really enjoy her nurturing energy as well. And then afterwards, when your dialogue is over, give thanks and bid them farewell. So after the meditation, I like to eat apples and bread. I also like to drink something fruity, sometimes wine or mead or cider. Sometimes it's just fruit juice and some spring water, but that kind of feasting always ends my rituals. Then I bid farewell to the elements and I devoke the circle by literally tracing my footsteps counterclockwise. So thank you for watching this little video, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you feel inspired to mark Lughnasa or Lammas, whatever you choose for yourself. And I'm really grateful to each and every one of you for tuning in, for watching this video, for watching my other videos. And if you feel guided, please do drop me a comment below. maybe also consider subscribing and sharing the channel, because together we get to build community. Ta-ta for now.